You're listening to the Biohackers World Podcast.
Hi, I'm Sheanah Rivers, and I am here with
David Korsunsky.
And we are filming live from Biohackers World. So David, before Heads Up, you were deep in the tech world.
Yes.
What was the moment that made you pivot into health and build a tool that empowers everyday people with their own data?
I was working on this as a side project in my tech job. I was doing a lot of my own personal health optimization to help me perform better in my tech job. I had a little bit of burnout that I had to reverse. And
a little bit or a lot of it?
On a 1 to 10 burnout scale, I think I hit an 8.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. But as I started to measure my body and collect data, I started seeing how it was changing my behavior in a positive way. And I was a medical lay person, but I knew enough to look at numbers and know if those numbers were good or bad. And the numbers that were bad helped me make smarter choices. I didn't need a doctor. I didn't need any online presence. I just needed some real data. And I saw how powerful the data was for me to change my behavior. And I said, well, if it was that powerful for me, just to look at a number and make a change on a number, maybe there's other people that could make those kinds of changes if I help them see the numbers. And that's when I basically, in startup land, they say you jump off a cliff with no parachute. I quit my job.
Yep.
And had to basically go build a company.
I often say it's jump or get pushed, because you know when your time is up in a certain role or in a certain identity.
Yeah.
So you probably would have been pushed had you not jumped, right?
Well, I took a sabbatical from my corporate gig, and I traveled by myself for 6 months, solo, all through Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar. And I rebooted myself. I rebooted myself physically, mentally, spiritually. And then I came back and spent another 2 to 3 months just really figuring out where did I want to invest my energy. And I wanted to invest my energy in something that would take my whole soul. That was the challenge I was seeking. And ultimately, I ended up building something in this space because I felt that if you're going to bleed on something, you're going to suffer no matter what, right?
Right.
So let's pick something that, like, I want to wake up every day and bleed on.
Right. Something worth pursuing instead of just, a 9-to-5 kind of thing.
Yeah, and I was fortunate that I could take that kind of risk in my life. Not everyone is able to do that kind of thing. I was at a moment in time where I was young enough that I was prepared to take a huge financial risk. And I was single. And I didn't have a lot of expenses.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, there's a window here where I can take a big risk.
Right.
And so that's why I said, I'll go for it. And maybe I'll return to regular corporate life at some point. But I just saw the moment and took the jump.
Yeah. So you've said you're a health enthusiast and biohacker, but not everyone in your world speaks HRV and glucose variability.
Yeah.
So how do you make this stuff human and digestible, not just clinical?
Well, I think these are new biomarkers. Most people don't understand or have never heard of heart rate variability. We're just now getting the technology to consumers that even allows them to measure it. So I would rather focus on education. And rather than avoid the biomarkers we don't understand, I think it's our responsibility to educate people on how to read the data.
Right.
So I think education is a big part of it. Then it's also one of the things about the companies bringing devices to market. Let's just take Oura or Garmin or Withings or the companies that make the continuous glucose monitors. These companies are investing billions of dollars, and they're building user experiences that are consumer accessible. They're not building these products for doctors.
Right.
They're built with user experiences to make the data digestible by the average lay person. And it's not that complicated to open a CGM, continuous glucose monitor app, and see your blood glucose. And the ranges are pretty well understood. So I think the positive is that there's so much investment and so much money going into these companies. These companies are only successful if the data is easy to understand.
Right.
So their whole business is making the data easy to understand. And they're building these user experiences that explain the numbers to you. And they give you these helpful little tips and insights and pings.
Right.
So I think it's getting more accessible. I do think that we still need education. We still need practitioners to guide us. We still need trusted resources out there. And it still requires an individual to have a certain amount of curiosity and a certain amount of drive to go figure some stuff out on their own, make some mistakes, do things wrong, and try again.
Yeah. I think people have a hard time with the do things wrong and trying again. They think they're supposed to get it at the start of it.
Don't take yourself too seriously,
Yeah.
including your data.
Yeah. Agreed. And I come from a somatic and spiritual lens, and I often say to my audience and my clients, you got to pay attention to the whispers before you are listening to the screams.
Could not agree more.
So what have you learned from people who already had an inner knowing before their metrics caught up?
I think your intuition is actually the most powerful compass out there. So I think, first of all, are you in touch with yourself enough to know how to listen to the signals? I think that's important. I think your instincts will probably match up very nicely with the data. So if you can put those two things together, I think you have the best of both worlds. I also spend a lot of time in the spiritual world as well. And that's a component of biohacking that's not talked about enough, in my opinion. I'm encouraged by the ability for more people to get access to psychospiritual healing. I think that's becoming more democratized, more accessible. Yoga and meditation and breath work and things that help our parasympathetic nervous system, and also the plant medicine communities. That's also a helpful tool. I've done a lot of Kundalini yoga. There's lots of things that can work on the inner game that are requiring just as much investment as you spend in the gym.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I speak a lot about the spiritual side of this kind of work, and even getting in touch with the creative energy that people forget to do, because I think they focus on, let me go to the gym, let me go to work. They might even say, let me do my breath work. But then it's also like, have you created anything lately?
Yeah.
Have you actually poured something out there or poured into yourself with your work that you enjoy doing and creating just to create?
Sometimes it could just be writing down ideas on a daily basis. The thing sometimes I notice is that I get my best creative ideas when I'm at the gym. Because I've stepped away from that busy brain mode and I'm in the gym with music and I'm in flow with my body. Sometimes my most creative ideas come when I'm not working.
Right.
So how can you figure out where your creative sparks come from, and how can you start to bring those to the surface?
Yeah, and I think the other important part with the creative spark is that aligned action. You get the spark, and just like you did with your own experience, you got a nudge and you were like, okay, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
I was doing a yoga workout, by the way, when I got a download for this company. And I was in a deep yoga experience. And I was just in a flow state with my body and my breath. And boom, this idea came down.
Yeah. I had a similar experience when I came up with the name of my podcast. I actually had, when you talked about plant medicine, I had a gummy. And I was meditating and the name came to me and I was like, there's no way. Who you calling holistic? Like, there's no way that somebody doesn't have that already. Like, it's too good. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh no, it's
awesome.
For me. It's for me.
Yeah. So when we down-regulate, that's when ideas come up. So finding ways to get into a state of relaxation and letting creativity bubble up to the surface, that's becoming harder and harder to do in our society because we're constantly distracted.
Yeah. And I think that's designed that way on purpose.
Totally.
Yeah.
So where are the times and places where you can have uninterrupted time? And you can be away from your phone and be away from all technology for an hour. And that's like when you get the creative bubble ups.
And I even tell people, especially in American culture, if you don't have an hour, do you have 5 minutes?
Yeah.
If you got to start small, you got to start small.
Yeah.
Like you got to meet people where they are
Yeah.
in order to get somewhere with it, right?
Yeah, so you bring up a lot of really interesting stuff, which is how do we create time and space for our own spiritual health in addition to our physical health? And that's harder for some people than others. It takes just as much work.
Yeah.
Even just to create the space.
Yeah. And it's an everyday practice.
Yeah.
And just like we mentioned earlier that I'm a beginner at something and I've failed already, it's that understanding it's okay to try again tomorrow.
Get back on the horse.
Yeah.
As a business owner, the amount of times I've gotten punched in the face.
Oh, yeah.
And just had to go back at it.
Yep. It's usually a little tweak.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
And it takes resilience.
Yep.
And even meditation for a lot of people is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase, well, I can't shut my brain off.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is just to watch it.
Yeah. It's the same thing whenever I've done massages and people are like, oh, I can't turn my brain off. And I'm like, you're here right now.
Yeah.
You can't do anything in here right now. You're on the table. Go ahead and just embrace this moment. And they're like, yeah, you're right. I can't do anything on my to-do list.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Do you think we're getting closer to a version of digital health that feels more soulful, like it supports nervous system harmony, not just optimization?
I think what I'm very encouraged about is more modalities coming to market that are frequency-based. Mm-hmm. And those could be, for example, acoustics that are frequency-based. There's modalities that are like PEMF that are frequency-based. There's modalities that are focusing on improving heart rate variability. Those things are driving parasympathetic activity. I think we're seeing more of that technology come to market. So I think for people who struggle with doing traditional meditation or traditional breath work, how can we have technological solutions that help us gear down the nervous system? There's a lot of them here at this show. I know that when I do a frequency-based modality, I get some of the best heart rate variability readings ever. Mm-hmm. I did this one experiment in Scottsdale. There's this woman who does sound bowls.
Mm-hmm. I do sound healing too.
So I went with my dad and my stepmom. It was a private session for the three of us. And we did an hour of sound bowls, just us. We just got serenaded for and it was the best thing for my physical recovery, and I got the data back. So more frequency-based modalities, I think, is the best answer to your question.
I strongly support that one because that's definitely my line of work too.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you can go to a concert and hear the speakers and you feel the vibration, right? You feel that music. So imagine how your body and mind react when you are choosing intentional frequencies and intentional music to what your body and mind need in that moment.
Yeah, I use this app called Endel. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I haven't heard of that one.
It will play any of the frequency-based modalities just in perpetuity. Mm-hmm. So just putting those headphones in and getting a binaural beat for an hour. So there's so much cool technology that's helping us rest and digest or simulate that side of our body. I hope we continue to see more of that.
Yeah, I agree. What's your vision for the next chapter of health tracking? More wearable tech, AI, or more space for self-awareness and recovery?
The space for self-awareness and recovery, I think that is just going to really require discipline from the individual to create that space. For me, as a health tech founder, I think the opportunities for AI are going to be very significant. And I think being able to have conversations with our data, being able to have a system that can do a lot of research on our behalf about what type of modalities to try. There was a recent paper that came out from Microsoft, and they designed a system to replicate a cross-functional medical team. Mm-hmm. So they had different large language models that were each trained on a different discipline, cardiovascular health, maybe metabolic health. And so they took 300 of the hardest cases from the New England Journal of Medicine, and they fed it to the AI diagnostic team, and then they fed it to the human diagnostic team. And the AI team had a successful outcome 80% of the time.
And
the
quicker.
Humans were 20% of the time. Yeah. So what does that mean? That means that doctors can spend more time with the patients that need the help. We already have a shortage of doctors in this country. We already have a cost structure that's out of control. Mm-hmm. So can we start to shift that paradigm to where more of the routine, let's just call them, types of scenarios can be done through more of a self-service model? Or can we help the doctors scale to see more people more effectively? Can we bring the cost down? Can we get the outcomes better? That's the future I'd like to see happen.
Mm-hmm. If someone wanted to start using Heads Up with zero tech background, what's one simple metric you tell them to start with and why?
I would just start tracking your blood sugar and wake up in the morning and measure your blood sugar with a finger stick. Do that for a week, see where your numbers are at, and then figure out where you stack up in terms of the reference ranges. And then start learning how to control your blood sugar through diet, lifestyle, exercise, and good quality sleep. I think blood sugar is still one of the number one things we need to learn how to self-regulate. Donuts are not going to be illegal anytime soon. So, and metabolic dysfunction, metabolic disorder is still the number one driver of health issues. Mm-hmm. So I think if you just started learning how to use diet and lifestyle to master your blood sugar, I would start there.
I agree, because I also talk about how our, not only are our emotions stored in the gut, but just like we were discussing intuition earlier, we get a gut reaction and a gut response when we're trusting our intuition. Just like when you get a download, you feel it, you feel it there, and then it's like, oh, I need to act on this. But if our emotions and our gut health are imbalanced,
how can we trust imbalanced.
It? Yeah. And how can we trust the information, or the information's not clear when it's trying to get to us?
Yeah. So dysregulated blood sugar, learning how to do some calibration on sleep. Those would be like my top two. And then the heart rate variability, which is a measurement of stress.
One of the questions I love to ask people that I interact with in this space is, what's your medicine?
Good question. My medicine, can I give multiple answers?
Yeah.
Can I do medicines plural?
Yeah.
My medicines are good sleep. My medicines are sweat. And my medicines are meditation. And my medicine is integrity.
I love those. So, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sheanah.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, if you missed Chicago, if you missed Los Angeles, it's okay, no panic, because we have the same event in Miami early November. Really come, it's an amazing community. We learned so much, and even if you think you're a biohacker who knows everything, believe me, you will learn something in Miami.